In this tutorial, we're going to have a quick look at how to grade colour within our content. So on our timeline, I have two pieces of video, so some seals, prairie dog, and then two images. We've got some tulips and the lighthouse. I'm just going to quickly resize the lighthouse so we don't have black banding on the sides. So let's start off with these tulips. They're bright and lovely and yellow, but let's say we wanted a slightly cooler, darker tone to our work. On the left here, there are a panel with Media Browser, Info, Effects and History. I'm going to click on Effects, and I'm going to open up Video Effects. There are two folder menus which are really useful for controlling colour. There's Colour Correction, which gives us a wide range of possibilities, and there's also the Image Control. So let's have a look at some of these. The first thing I'm going to do is play around with this Colour Balance HLS. That controls hue, light and saturation. To apply effect, I left click and hold, and drag over to the timeline and drop it onto the footage. Nothing will have changed yet, that's normal. I'm going to go to the Effects Controls panel. I'm just going to close motion so we've got a bit more room to work with, and we can see here that colour balance has been added to this footage. So double check that your cursor is above your timeline, double check that your footage is highlighted in dark grey. And then what we can do is left click and hold on one of these numbers and move it around. So I'm going to drag the saturation right down to about -51, and we can see here the colour has drained away. We could in fact take that all the way through to -100, which would make it black and white. A useful tip is to toggle on this FX button so we can see the difference that we've made. So we've gone from a very bright yellow and blue to at -28, just a slightly toned down version. We could also play around with the lightness slider. Again, seeing the results. And if we want to return these parameters to normal, these particular ones, I'm actually just going to single click and hit 0 on your keyboard to put them back to their 0 settings. Hue is a bit more radical in terms of what it does. As we move that from left to right, we'll notice that it cycles through a range of colours. Okay, if you want to have some abstract green tulips, or blue tulips, so on and so forth. It can be interesting for some effects, but won't be used so much, so let's put that back to 0. Now I'm going to switch colour balance off for now and close it down, and then we'll have a look at colour balance RGB. This time it's going to control what we call the red, green and blue channels. So I'm left clicking, holding, I'm bringing it across. In fact, I'm going to drop this onto wildlife. I'm lining up my cursor, so there's my prairie dog, there's colour balance. Now it's not overly bright, so I'm thinking of trying to make it look like a slightly sunnier day. That means I might want to add some more yellow light, but we've only got red, green and blue. However, red and green light create yellow light, so I'm just going to increase red a bit, and then green a little bit. And if we watch this area while I toggle on and off the colour, we can see we've just added what could be considered a slightly brighter, slightly sunnier day. It's about a subtle change. If we really wanted to, we could increase the colour a lot, but again, things become a little bit more abstract depending on what we add or take away with colour. This time I'm going to return the values to 100, and we're going to play around with actually a couple of menus here. This time I'm going to add some blue to give a slightly cooler feel, and then I'm also going to add the colour balance HLS and desaturate just a touch, increase the blue a little bit more, and all of a sudden we have a much colder palette. Again, I can turn that off and go back to original colour, or we can see here we've made a slightly more depressing tone with our colour work. So those are two really useful tools to play around in terms of managing colour. Good luck with that.